Good morning. Most welcome to our weekly meditation. Today we celebrate Palm Sunday, the beginning of the Holy Week, the beginning of our Easter celebration. In this Holy Week, we remember Christ's death and resurrection. This is the Christian Passover. Passover means the passage from slavery to freedom, from sin to grace and life, from death to life. As in ancient Egypt, the Lord liberated his chosen people from the slavery of Egypt and brought them to the freedom of the Promised Land. Here we celebrate the freedom that Christ brings us. We celebrate that Christ died for us so that we can have eternal life. In our baptism, we die with Christ to resurrect to new life. And our Christian life is about encountering the suffering Christ in our daily life and being able to proclaim his resurrection, to proclaim the new life, to proclaim a new world that is created by our redemption. The problem for us is how we face the challenges of everyday life, how we can see Christ in our daily life. How can we see him so that we don't forget that we have to create a new world, that we have to be children of God, children of light, that we have to renounce to the slavery of sin, that we have to avoid everything that is against God's will, that we have proactively fight to create a better world, a world of justice, of peace, of love. And this is very difficult. In our Latin world, in this Holy Week, we celebrate with walks and procession the facts of Christ's death. And it is very important to have images that depict the suffering Christ in the different phases of his passion. And that's why it's very important the images that are created by artists, so that when the people see the images, they can visualize the suffering of Christ so that we can take strength to fight for this new world that he came to bring us. In this context, there is a lady poet, Gabriela Mistral, that wrote a beautiful poem about Christ, about the suffering of Christ, that I want to read to you in my own translation. It is about somebody that goes to a statue sculptor to ask for a statue of Christ, for an image of the suffering Christ. What do you want the image of? Ask the statue sculptor. We have pine saints. They're images of plaster. Look at this recumbent Christ, pure cedar wood. It depends on who orders it, a family or a temple, or the only goal is putting it in a museum. So let me explain what I really want. I need an image of Jesus the Galilean that reflects his failure, trying a new world that moves conscious and changes thoughts. I don't want it locked up in churches and convents, not even in a family's home to preside over their prayers. It is not to be carried on walks, loaded by float bearers. I want a living image of a man Jesus suffering that illuminates the heart and the brain of whoever looks at it. That makes you want to lower it of his cross and of his torment. And whoever contemplates that image, don't stare at that dead person, not even with the eyes of an artist. Just look at an object to which he or she exclaims in admiration, "What a most beautiful torture!" "Forgive me if I tell you," answers the statue sculptor, "that here you will not find for sure the image of the Nazarene. Go look for it on the streets, among the homeless, in hospices and hospitals where people are dying, in retirement homes in which they abandon the old and the outcast people, among hungry children, in battered women, in unemployed people. But the image of Christ, don't look for it in museums. Don't look for it in the statues, in the altars and temples, nor follow in the processions the footsteps of the Nazarene. Don't look for it made of wood, bronze, stone, or plaster. Better look among the poor, his image of flesh and blood. Have a wonderful and blessed Holy Week. And please don't forget to say that you look for us in the internet by clicking on the approval. Thank you.